It's been almost a year since the big Texas freeze, but has there been sufficient action? Famed environmental activist Bill McKibben joins the program to discuss. Joining us now, world-renowned environmental activist and the founder of the Third Act, Bill McKibben is joining us now from the great state of Vermont. Bill, thanks so much for coming on.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
First off, we're coming up on the anniversary of that big Texas freeze that overwhelmed the power grid there, hurt crop yields for years to come, and unfortunately killed more than 200 people. Now, has there been any reasonable and monumental action on the issues that kind of stemmed this crisis?
Well, first, let's be clear that was the prelude to a year of just extraordinary weather. It was followed by those insane heat dome heat waves that hit the Pacific Northwest, and then by crazy record heat in Alaska, and on and on and on, all of which the product of a broken jet stream as we change the climate. We obviously aren't going to stop those things from happening at this point, though we can still limit them, we hope. But we are going to need to build robust systems to power our lives. And it's become clearer and clearer over the last year that the way to do that is with renewable energy and with batteries. You'll remember at the beginning of the Texas thing, they tried to blame windmills and solar panels and so on for the trouble. But as it turned out on closer inspection, that wasn't what failed. It was the natural gas dominated system that they built there in Texas. And in fact, renewable energy does very well in these conditions. That's why wind turbines power our Antarctic research stations. And it's the thing that really happened in the last year is the advent of ever cheaper and bigger batteries that make it easier and easier to store up that renewable energy for strange sagas such as that one.
The other thing that's really raised a lot of eyebrows has to do with these fires in Colorado. Wildfires are especially really rare this time of year. It's winter, it's snowing. What can governments do at this point to rectify some of these challenges?
Well, really what was horrifying about those wildfires in Colorado was also the fact that they weren't where we're usually used to seeing them, up in the mountains, up in the forests. These were burning straight through the middle of suburbia. I mean, scary videos coming from Chuck E. Cheese and Costco. So the only way to ameliorate this, of course, is to slow the rise in temperature. It's too late to stop global warming, but not too late to slow it down, limit how high it actually gets. Given the gridlock in Washington, I think probably our instinct at Third Act is that going after the big banks that continue to provide lots and lots of lending to the fossil fuel industry is probably the most effective way to try and crimp that industry and make it easier for rationality, renewable energy to prevail in the short run.
Well, another big criticism is about these giant corporate carbon neutrality pledges that a lot of people have seen as just like a PR stunt. But at the same time, there's some positive momentum there, of course. You'd think that the big economic power players that are fundamentally driving the economy, if they're aiming to curb their carbon footprint, that's a good thing. Do you see that there's any action there that's...
Some of the big firms have done a good job of starting to really limit their carbon emissions. Companies like Apple have really worked hard to do that. What's sad is that they haven't been able to bring their fleet of lobbyists online. And so all these businesses, all the Fortune 500 were busy opposing the Build Back Better bill in Congress, really the first serious climate legislation that's come before the U.S. Congress in many years.
That's true, and Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema were really instrumental in blocking some key provisions within that legislation. Okay, Bill McKibben, thanks so much for joining.
What a pleasure. Thank you.